The weekend storm, Kasia, that's the big one. The temperature contrast across North America helps to set it up. Getting prepared, that's key. And before we give the forecast, you've got some preparedness advice.
Absolutely. We're at one of Canada's largest home hardwares. It's massive, by the way, 20,000 square feet in Burlington. And we're now joined by Kyle, who works here. Homeowners, helping homeowners. All right. So we want to talk about emergency preparedness when it comes to your vehicle, because our ride home and our ride into work actually tomorrow could be very well impacted by this storm. Kyle, what do you recommend? What are the most important things we should have in our cars?
Good.
You got that in your hand there?
Yeah. We also carry a car brush, brush off in case something does happen.
Okay, so these are just some of the items, but of course you can purchase an. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about this incoming storm for the weekend. Going to throw it to you inside, Jacqueline.
Storm and getting ready for that. The forecast in a moment, but getting prepared. Kasia now live at Home Hardware.
Yeah, and we're seeing so many people. They're here, they're doing their Christmas shopping, and we just want to inspire some people to be thinking about their emergency preparedness. If you don't have a kit already at home in your car, this is a good time to now stock up ahead of the storm, right? Better safe than sorry. Okay, so of course you want your oils topped off, all of your fluids essentially, your antifreeze, your windshield washer fluid, your gas line antifreeze. That's something actually I don't think about. And then the lock de-icer, which we were talking about earlier with our friend from Home Hardware. Also, booster cables is another great handy thing to have in your car. Often people do have problems, run into these kind of problems in the winter. We were also talking about having a blanket in the car in case you lose power as well. And of course, your brushes, right? We'll be back from Home Hardware throughout the show to talk about emergency preparedness. But what about the roads, Rachel?
All right, Kasia, and also a great thing to be prepared is the Beat the Traffic app. Do that.
Kasia, being prepared in the event of a weather emergency, holiday time or not, it's really important.
Absolutely, and we're now shifting focus. We're talking about emergency preparedness in your vehicles because, of course, your commute will be impacted by freezing rain. And now we're talking about outside your home. You could see on this wall over here by how bare it is, people are prepared for snow, but it's actually not going to be much of a snow event, at least for the GTA. So what we want to say is that you want to make sure you do have a good scraper with a good brush with a scraper at the end, and then de-icing, an environmentally friendly de-icer for your walkways so you don't hurt yourself on the way outside of your home. Now, speaking of homes, we're going to be talking about emergency preparedness when it comes to power outages, generators, and what you need in that case. That's coming up, but in the meantime, I want to send it back to you inside, Jacqueline.
I'll break that down in more detail. Big impact for travel, certainly. Kasia, getting prepared right now is a good idea.
Yeah, and so we are at a Home Hardware, probably one of the biggest ones in the country, I should mention, in Burlington, by the way. And as you mentioned, Suzanne, this is going to be an extremely complex system, so we urge you to watch the Weather Network throughout the weekend. We'll keep you up to date, constantly live. Now, if you lose your power, though, check out our app. Yes, we have all the information there on your iPhone or your smartphone, I should say, but also weather radios.
Or basically you just crank it up to power it up, and if it goes out, you just re-crank it.
Okay, excellent. Well, these are just some tips, and we actually have so many more, so stay with us. We'll be going live from the Home Hardware here coming up. But first, I want to send it back to you inside with your traffic info, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Kasia. And
Kasia, that's with Jacqueline and Doug coming up. But right now, you and getting ready for the event of an emergency.
Indeed. And Suzanne, as you've been mentioning, this is a very complex system. It's going to be changing. Models are suggesting, well, snow and ice and rain. So please keep it tuned in here throughout the weekend. If you lose your power, it's really good to have a weather radio. This one in particular is powered by Crank. So we've been talking about that. And now we've got some more recommendations with our friend Kyle Hayward of Home Hardware here. You have a whole section of scented, beautiful candles, but we've been talking about emergency preparedness in your vehicles as well. There's so much to cover here at the Home Hardware, so we'll be going live throughout the show. But first, I'm going to send it back to you inside, Jacqueline.
Possible. Kasia, we're trying to get people prepared here, reminding them to check in on the forecast. And if you lose power, things that you need to have at home, like medication and food supplies. And you've got some other tips.
Absolutely. And Suzanne, I sort of wish this was my own kitchen, but we're at the Home Hardware kitchen demo. But I'm using this to show you that, yeah, when the power goes out, so does the water. So you got to think about that. Emergency preparedness. You know, what should we have on hand? With us again, we've got Kyle Hayward. Kyle, you've got some ideas for us. Tip. When we come back, we'll be talking about also what else you can do in case of a power outage. We've been talking about emergency preparedness in your vehicles. And that leads me to your traffic info. Back to you inside Rachel.
Thank you so much, Kasia and Kyle.
And forecast models look like, Kasia, they're going to set up the most prolonged freezing rain, perhaps just to our north. More to come. Now your turn at preparedness.
Yes, indeed. So we're yet again in the kitchen section of the Home Hardware in Burlington, I should mention. And, you know, you're talking about the ice storm and the epic one back in '98. People had to get creative when it came to food preparation, cooking food, because, of course, they were without power for so long. So talking about that, we've got Kyle yet again here with us. So some ideas on ways to prepare food when there's no power. And we have to stress these are all outdoor ideas, yes? Yeah. They're nice and small and compact, so not too much trouble, right? Okay, yeah. So we do have some more ideas for you, other ways to be prepared for the weather, especially keep watching us here at the Weather Network. We will keep you up to date. Have a weather radio handy if you do lose your power. Now I'm going to send it back to you inside. Jacqueline with more info.
Setting up here, Kasia. Now, still 48 hours out, but all the forecast models pointing towards prolonged ice and obviously power outages. Things that we need to think about, and you've got some tips from the Home Hardware.
Yes, indeed. Well, we've been talking about so many different areas, preparing food, what you should have in your vehicles, how to prepare for power outages. But now we want to focus a little bit on communications. Obviously, this doesn't run on power, but once it runs out of juice, and all of our phones do, you need the power. So we've got some tips on what to do and how to prepare. We've got Kyle with us again. So what do you have for us?
These are an external power pack.
Great tips. And right now's the time to be charging your phones. All right, we're going to send it back to you inside. Rachel.
Thanks, Kasia.
What to do if the power goes out? And that's a likely outcome in the event of an ice storm. Kasia, take it away.
Oh, yeah. Here at the Home Hardware in Burlington, so many people are thinking about Christmas shopping, but we're trying to get them to think about emergency preparedness because now is the time to stock up on some of these things. Kyle now joins us. Should the power go out, what are some of the most important pieces to have in our homes?
Yeah.
As well as charging your phones. Well, not exactly right now, ahead of the storm, right? Before you go to bed tonight, especially because our ride into work may be impacted as well. Actually, with more info on this storm system, I'm going to send it back to you inside. Jacqueline.
Commute. 10 centimeters of snow for ski country, and then the weekend storm. And Doug will have more on that coming up with Jacqueline. Kasia getting ready in the event of a storm.
Yes, indeed. And it seems as though people were prepared last weekend. And I'm pretty sure that the reason why these shelves are a little on the empty side when it comes to the snow shovels was last weekend's snowfall. But this time around, we're focusing on de-icing. So we're joined yet again by Kyle, Home Hardware in Burlington here. Kyle, this is going to be, or it could possibly be, a really big ice event. So what do you have for us? Isn't it? Yeah. It's also good to have a good brush for your car, of course, but one that has a really good scraper because, yeah, you could be scraping a lot off your windshield. Speaking of your windshields, I'm going to send it to you inside with your traffic info. Rachel.
Thanks so much, Kasia. And
So being prepared in the case of an emergency or a power outage, Kasia, it's food, it's water, it's medicine. It's making sure you've got what you need, and you're in a good place for that.
Oh, yes, indeed. Having cash on hand as well. And you know, Suzanne, I just got your text. Why I'm saying this is you and I both know my phone, actually, it loses its juice rather quickly. So you want to charge your phone ahead of a big storm when you think there is a chance that you're going to lose your power. But here's something really neat here. This is called a universal external power pack. And I just found out that this can recharge your phone from nothing 5 times. So you recharge this, you get yourself one of these, you recharge this ahead of a storm, and then you've got 5 times the amount of juice, close to 6. Then, of course, we've got, having blankets on hand, to keep yourself warm, candles, batteries, flashlights as well. And then here's something handy as well, of course, a weather radio. This one is powered by Crank. There are battery powered ones as well. So many things that you can get. So if you do go to your local Home Hardware or store similar of this nature, now is the time to get prepared for a storm. Going to send it back to you in outside. Jacqueline with more on the incoming storm.
So how do you prepare food? Here are some ideas.
We're talking about emergency preparedness here at the Home Hardware in Burlington, in the kitchen section, I should add, because we're now talking about preparing food, cooking food in creative ways, really. Back in '98, the epic storm, people had to be creative because they lost their power for such a long period of time. With us now, we've got Kyle Hayward. Kyle, what are some ideas? And actually, I have to stress off the top, these are all outdoor ways of preparing food.
Yes.
Outdoors. Okay, beautiful. Many options. We'll continue to talk about emergency preparedness here at the Home Hardware, but I'm going to send it back to you inside. Your weather story continues.